Joe Hopkins here, and I was asked something recently, and it's something I've been asked a good bit over time, and that is to talk about the interface I use, because here I'm shooting videos. Apparently, people told me that it sounds pretty good, that, the microphone interface, whatever I'm doing, they say it sounds pretty good, and people have asked me, what interface do you use? What are you recording with? That kind of stuff. So I thought I'd go over it real quick here. I did a video on my interface years ago, but it's time to do another one, right? Now you can tell right now, you can hear the sound. I'm using the interface. So I'm not going to hold it up here. I'm going to take the microphone or the camera and take the camera to it. So here we go. Let's go ahead and grab this and I will show you what I'm talking about here. I have a nice little fishy on top of it there. I have a PreSonus audio box USB, right? These things start at about $100. They're like $99 on Amazon. And, or you can get a kit like I did originally. I bought this in 2012, so it's like 11 years old. They still sell the same one, and they also sell newer ones. But this one is $100 by itself, or if you want to spend a couple $100, depending on what you get, they have different kits. Mine came with headphones, let's see, a microphone, stuff like that. But you can see it's a 2-channel input, and just so you know, that lapel mic you see me wear, if you ever buy one of those, you got to get one of these adapters for it, right? If you don't, it won't work. So these you can see on the interface. Let me unplug this one. That's my instrument cable. You can see it takes XLR microphone cables and 1/4-inch instrument cables. You have volume for your channels 1 and 2. There's your main, your headphones, and move that out of the way. Or no, that's your mixer. Goes between input and playback, your headphones, and your main. Right now for my main, I have some PreSonus 3.5-inch speakers, and I'm running the PreSonus software, which came with the kit. You can see that's usually running in the background. That's running Studio One. But your interface, this will work with pretty much anything else, right? On the back, you have MIDI in, MIDI out. You have the outs for the speakers, the pre-outs. You need powered speakers or an amplifier for them, and power source. So this is a pretty simple box. This one has lasted me about 11 years. And you can see it's held up pretty good. It still sounds good. It's got the phantom power on it. This thing, let me put this back up here now, since I'm done showing you that. Turn it around so we can see me. There we go. So that's just a pretty good look at it. And like I said, I bought this thing like 11 years ago, and I've recorded a lot with it. I've done all the videos on YouTube using that. I used to use the microphone for it. It came with a PreSonus M5 microphone and a pair of studio headphones, right? The headphones are actually pretty decent. I used to mix with them when I first got it. That's all I had. I didn't have studio monitors, and I'd mostly mix with the headphones, which isn't recommended, but you can get away with it, right? And their headphones are pretty good. Some of the newer kits, they come with better stuff now. They come with newer type interfaces and better, stuff. You can get the kit that comes with the studio monitors, like the ones I have. You can get a kit that comes with all kinds of stuff. Or if you're just looking for a second interface, or you want to piece it together yourself, you don't want to get the kit, you can do that too. You can spend like $100 on that. Or I think they have their newer interfaces cost a little bit more. They have them on Amazon. They have them on PreSonus.com. And this isn't an ad for PreSonus. I use their stuff solely because at the time me and my wife started recording music, it was on sale. We got a sale on it. It was a pretty good price, and my wife called PreSonus or emailed them or something like that. I think she called them. I don't know if their customer service, if they still have a customer service number, if it's all online now, but they did then. And she called them and asked about can you run me a deal? And they did. They sold it to her for like, I think 60 or 70 bucks less for the kit, something like that. So it wasn't a lot of money, which is why we went with PreSonus. And over time, I upgraded the software. I think it comes with like one of their mid-level packages. You can get Studio One for free and just put plugins on it. But we got, with the software, it came with their mid-level package. It has like compressors and EQs and reverbs and amp sims and all that stuff on it. And later I upgraded to Professional, which has a bunch of extra stuff. But the first one, I recorded 3 or 4 albums with just that mid-level software. It works fine, because for the most part, mostly what you use when recording is compressor, EQ, and reverb. For the most part, and I use a lot of amp sims, and their stuff is solidly good. To this day, I've bought other plugins and I still prefer the PreSonus ones. Maybe it's just because I'm used to using them, but I find that they work very well. Now I'm running an older version of Studio One. I didn't upgrade because I don't want to. I kind of like the way this works, and one of these days I'll have to upgrade it to whatever the newest one is. I think 5 or 6. I think I'm running 3, and they're up to 5 or 6 now. And eventually I'll have to upgrade. But I kind of like what I have. I don't really want to upgrade because it seems like most of the newer features revolve around connectivity and uploading ease and, visually how it looks and that kind of stuff. So this works fine for me. But the newer, if you buy a package now, it'll come with the newer software, I would assume. And they really do have pretty good software too. Now, I know why people have asked me, what interface do you use? It's because I'm on YouTube, and when they see me doing YouTube, they think, wow, that worked pretty good. What are you using? Right? Honestly, I think you could use almost any interface solidly well. Although, as far as the kits go, where it comes with everything you need, I haven't really seen anybody beat PreSonus for price and quality. There are some cheaper kits, but I've noticed they're not as good quality. They're not going to stand up. And I mean, like I said, this has stood up for over a decade now and still works as good as it did when I got it. The microphone and headphones I got too, I only, in the last 6 months, replaced the microphone. I only just got a new microphone. I used their condenser mic for over 10 years recording music, and it's come out pretty good. It's a good microphone, the one that came with my kit. Like I said, I think it was an M5 it's called, and it was solidly good. It still is. I still have it. I still use it. I only just upgraded the headphones. I didn't see any need to. They've lasted for over a decade. And my cousin bought me some really nice Behringer headphones, so I use those now. But I still have the old headphones. I still use them for things. To be honest with you, it's good to have 2 sets of headphones. I remember I ended up buying a second set of studio headphones, right? I think they were also Behringer. Because when you're recording with 2 people, you need 2 pairs of headphones. So I got a second set of headphones and a splitter to put in the back so that me and the wife could both hear what we were doing while we were recording. And the other headphones have pretty much fallen apart. Right? But the Studio One, or the PreSonus headphones, they're still going strong. They got a lot of wear on them, but they still work like new. And I've gone through, I think, 3 other pairs of headphones in the time that I've had those PreSonus ones. So as far as just standing up to things, plus this interface, the microphone, the headphones, the whole kit, I've taken with me places. When my wife was doing a radio program, and we'd have to go interview people, this whole thing would go with me to whatever location she was interviewing somebody at. So it's traveled, it's been set up, taken back down, moved back and forth. We used this to record people in my church who would do songs, and we would, once again, take the whole package, pack it up, take it to the church, take it to the person's house, wherever, record them, and come back, and it stood up to travel. It's stood up to constant use. This is something, honestly, of all the musical gear I have, this gets used more than anything else because it gets used on everything. I'm shooting a YouTube video, I'm using this interface. When I go to record somebody, like I said, I would travel with my wife for her to record things, it would go with us. It's been used for everything. And it stood up very well. And when I say it's been used heavily, I mean, it's been used heavily, almost daily for 11 years now. It's 2023. And yeah, we bought it in 2012, I believe, sometime around there. So yeah, over 10 years, like 11 years plus. And it's been used almost every day and has stood up really, really well. And as far as the way my microphone sounds, right, I've been told it sounds pretty good. Well, that's not the raw microphone sound. This is a decent microphone. It's a cheap lapel mic I got on Amazon. And it's decent. It's got a decent sound. But this is the compression and EQ. I put a compressor on it and I put EQ on it. And I give it a little bump in the low end, cut the very lowest and highest, little bump in like the mid highs, and the mids I scoop out, and there you go. It gives it a pretty good sound, in my opinion. I think it sounds pretty good, and I've been told it sounds pretty good, which surprises me because I thought it was, okay, this is acceptable. But a lot of people have told me it sounds really good. What mic are you using? And it is good to have a good mic, but I've found, having a good EQ on it matters a lot more than the quality of the microphone a lot of times. I've done a lot with very cheap mics. I have some very cheap, those $20 Neewer mics. Every now and then, so I had to buy a second mic for my wife's radio program. Once again, her radio program, I had to buy a second mic. And I ended up buying a Neewer because I didn't have much money. It's like $20. And the whole point was to mic the telephone, because she'd interview people over the phone and I can't hook the phone into the interface. I couldn't find anything to do that. So I would turn on speakerphone and just mic the phone. And the Neewer worked fine for that. And then I used it for other things and found that it works fine as long as you EQ it well. In fact, with the phone, you have to EQ it to make sure you can hear what somebody's saying over a telephone. It's a little harder than it would sound. You're miking a telephone and then trying to make it sound like it was run into the interface, like a radio program. And yeah, it takes a little bit of work. And PreSonus's software, that Studio One software, the plugins that come with it, have worked brilliantly for that. Honestly, I love their compressor and I love their EQ. I really do like their reverbs a lot too. There are better reverbs out there, but theirs is solidly good. And like I said, they're not paying me to say any of this. They're not saying like, hey, we'll give you free stuff if you pitch our product. It's just what I've found. Now, this is mostly what I've used, and I have looked at other software at other people's studios, other people's houses, people who use other things. And I really do like the Studio One software. But if you don't, once again, you can use other software. I know a lot of people, a lot of home studio people like Reaper. And I can see why, because it's real easy. I get why people like Reaper. I'm going to keep using Studio One because I'm used to it. If I was going to go to anything else, it would probably be Reaper, just because it seems to use less RAM. Like every now and then Studio One kind of slows down my computer. I got to change the bit rate to get everything to go smoothly. So I got to record and then reset it for mixing, because the more plugins you put on something, it slows it down. And Reaper doesn't do that as much, it would seem. If I was going to pick something else, that would be it. If you're looking to get one of these interfaces and then get different software, that's the way I'd go. But the Studio One software works really well, and it does seem to run smoother than Pro Tools, which maybe they've upgraded Pro Tools. Last time I used Pro Tools, it really seemed to pull a lot of CPU. Like it really ran your computer hard. So my thoughts on it, for what it's worth. So for you guys that have made comments, what interface are you using? What software are you using? There you go. People have asked me what microphone I'm using, and I can't remember the name of it because, once again, it was just I think it was $25. It was a cheap lavalier mic on Amazon. Whatever was cheap and looked like it would work. You know what I mean? But yeah, if you do get one of these, if it isn't one of the ones that plugs into XLR, because most of them have like the little plugs, like I think 1/8 inch, you have to get an adapter for it to work with your interface. But make sure you get that. And the adapter I got, what was it? That is Rode, R-O-D-E. I wouldn't go with a cheap one with that. I'd go with the cheap mic, but get the good adapter, right? And Rode is really good, and they're not super expensive anyway. So anyway, there's a little look at what I'm using in here, my signal chain, what you're hearing, and how it's processed. And yeah, as far as I know, a lot of people would do a tutorial on this is how you EQ it, this is how you put the compressor on it, you know, for what I'm doing. I'm not going to do that, because to be honest with you, how I EQ something really depends on the microphone. I told you how I EQ this one. When I was using that PreSonus mic, I would do it differently, because each microphone has its own quality, and it has its own, you know, there are different things you have to accentuate and different things you have to cut depending on the microphone. For the most part, on most microphones, I'm just doing a high and low pass, just a little bit, just to take out the lowest low and the highest high, scooping the mids somewhere, and then boosting the high and low, usually the low just a tiny bit, and the high just, you know, right around where that vocal range is, like mid-high. And everybody's voice is different, so you got to play with it. Once you find where your voice is, you just do it the same every time. That first time or two, it takes a little bit of experimentation. But you know, the old smiley face, but with cuts at the end. You know, more or less. Something like that. But exactly what it is depends on your voice and what microphone you're using. So that kind of makes it like a tutorial on this is how you do it. It would be a little counterproductive. I don't want people to follow my advice because they don't have my voice, they don't have my microphone. They're not, it's different. And you might be looking for a different sound than I am. I don't know, I kind of want that radio voice sound, kind of because I have a bit of a background in radio, and that's what I'm used to listening to and used to trying to EQ it for. I do it differently when I'm doing music too. You know, when I'm singing, I EQ it differently. But anyway, so there you go. There you have it. I think that's pretty comprehensive. I hope some of you guys found this kind of informative, and if you did, hit subscribe, hit like, all that kind of good stuff. In a second here, there's going to be an end screen. I really like my end screen music. The picture I took a while ago when I had longer hair and it was all dyed blonde and I look all crazy. I like the picture, I like the music. But beyond that, along with the end screen, there's going to be a reviews playlist and a songs playlist. You can check out my guitar and instrument reviews, and you can check out my songs, see what you think. And I'll see you guys in the next video, all right? I love you guys. Peace out, baby. Bye-bye.